Detective tales featuring prominent series characters, stories steeped in Chinese and Japanese culture, narratives of domestic intrigue, psychological suspense, dramatic irony, black humor, swift action, quiet horror. And for good measure, one with a supernatural twist and another with an appended recipe. Something, in short, for every taste in crime fiction. It has been a privilege and a pleasure for us to serve as guest editors of Deadly Anniversaries. May the reader derive as much enjoyment as we have from reading and writing these stories. Marcia Muller and Bill Pronzini. Introduction, copyright 2020 by Marcia Muller and Bill Pronzini.
If You Want Something Done Right, by Sue Grafton. Lucy Burgess waited her turn at the Rite Aid pharmacy counter. The pollen count had soared, and she'd gone to the drugstore to pick up Bert's allergy medication, his bronchodilator inhaler, and a new brand of antihistamine he'd seen on TV. What a baby. Apart from his being an alcoholic and chronically unfaithful, he was becoming tedious. He was constantly misplacing his personal belongings, cell phone, car keys, glasses, wallet, making it her responsibility to locate the lost items. Really, there was no excuse for his being so disorganized. He was a high-profile divorce attorney who battled for his clients as though his life depended on it. He said that in the fight-or-flight stakes, he was all fight, which was what made him such a dangerous opponent. He claimed his stress levels were what kept him on top of his game. His high blood pressure did actually worry the doctors, and the asthma he'd suffered all his life was hard on him, but the rest of his ailments were ridiculous. Bert was highly suggestible, but she hadn't realized how paranoid he was until the trip to India came up. This would be their 25th wedding anniversary, and for years he'd promised her a trip to India. They'd reserved a large stateroom on an elegant cruise line that would take them from the Bay of Bengal around Cape Comorin to the Arabian Sea. Bert had set aside the time, 2 full weeks in August, which he hadn't done in years. She thought everything was fine, but then he'd started kicking up a fuss. First he worried about exposure to infectious diseases. Then he fretted about the filth, the vermin, tainted food, and the risk of contaminated water. Then, just last week, he'd canceled his reservation altogether, leaving her to go by herself. What kind of anniversary celebration was that? Not that she cared. Why pay good money just to hear him complain? He was probably carving out time for his latest lady love, but how could she call him on it when she had no concrete proof? The most irksome consequence of his cancellation was that now, in addition to her preparations, she had to make sure he'd be comfortable on his own, which included 2 weeks' worth of meals, refills on all his medications, and a list of emergency numbers as long as her arm. Orderly as usual, she'd bought a slim, pocket-sized notebook in which she kept a running tally of all the errands she had to run. The notebook was perfect for slipping in and out of her handbag, allowing her to utilize time that would otherwise go to waste. Standing in line at the gourmet market, she worked on her to-do list, checking off the stops she'd already made. Bank, check. Drugstore, check. The journal was divided into 2 sections. The first was devoted to things to be accomplished before she left town. In the second section, she kept a running list of ways to kill Bert. She'd come up with the idea as a form of idle amusement. Imagining his demise helped her tolerate his many loathsome qualities, among them his need to always be right and his tendency toward verbal abuse. He would never lay a hand on her, but he put her down every chance he got. Under possibilities, she'd written, gun? Where to acquire? Poison? Possible, but how to administer? Car wreck? Also possible, but difficult given ignorance of auto mechanics. Who to consult? She didn't write down garrote, because she didn't have the strength.